It's time for Verbal Tap, episode 16, the show that proves fighting is easier from outside the cage. I'm Kevin Phillips. With me, as always, Raph Esparza. Raph, how you doing this evening?
Pretty effing good, man. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I just got back from Vegas, which is
Dude, how'd that go?
home of the Affliction shirts and UFC. Raph and I had tossed around the idea of me storming the gates of the Ultimate Fighter house, maybe trying to find Uncle Dana and
Which you didn't do, so
No.
what a pussy.
No, I looked for him all around the greater strip area as well as in downtown. I couldn't find him, if you can believe it.
I'm pretty sure you went to one casino and you gave up there.
Maybe. I did see something fight related though. I was there for March Madness, and this kid from an opposing school was talking shit. He was like, "Fuck you! I can't believe you guys cost me money," as though I had something to do with it, because he was upset with my school. And his own buddy just turns around and said, "That's it," and clocks him with a right cross. Yep. And we're like, oh my god, did that a-hole just get punched by his own buddy? And his buddy turns to us and goes, "This is the 30th time he's almost got us in a fight. He fucking deserved it." And I was like, love it. That's fantastic.
The best story I've heard from Vegas in a while.
Yeah, so I did get to see some mixed martial arts.
So wait, does that mean that you technically want to fight?
I guess. I mean, I think his buddy was the real winner because it looked like it felt
details.
good.
That's not really important. Good job, Kevin. You won your first fight in Vegas.
Thank you. Raph, are you ready to talk about what's fast? We've talked about it before, how popular your verbal tap 1-minute review of The Ultimate Fighter is.
Yes, I would rank it among the most popular thing I know.
I haven't heard any others, which would still make yours the best.
Okay.
So you're up there. We are going to try and put it to the test, though. I've got some ways in the work to really test this hypothesis. Partially, I'm going to credit the ingredients. I think part of the coolness is how good The Ultimate Fighter's been.
That is true. You have to be complimentary to that. But
so even you can't screw it up. No, I was going to go the opposite way. You're like a city cop sort of patrolling the highway on this one. You're doing okay because it's high speeds and easy to understand. All right, are you ready to go?
I am, man.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, please brace yourself. This is a 1-minute review of The Ultimate Fighter, and here we go.
Previously on The Ultimate Fighter, in what seems like an eternity ago, Bubba McDaniel called out Kevin Casey, and tonight they fight each other for redemption in their wild card match. It's training time, and Jon Jones and Coach John Wood have a competition to see who can inspire Bubba more via compliments. "You're the best fighter here. You can win just by showing up. Achieve your dreams. Today you're going to fly, buddy." Jon Jones tells Bubba he's got to push the action and picks a fight with the Octagon Corner to prove his point. Meanwhile, Josh figures out that there's only been one fighter to call another fighter during the show. "Hey, Jimmy, what are you doing next week? Like, you want to fight, man?" And Jimmy's all for it. "I want to fight Josh Saman because I'm an expert finisherman, but I don't really mind who I fight. Therefore, I'm going to allow Uriah to kind of pick whoever he wants because I'm really a good guy." And Chael tells us we've got to see the real Kevin Casey compete in this fight. Kevin Casey has a pretty sweet Cobra Commander helmet to help protect the cut on his head. And it's Thanksgiving. Chael gives a big speech, thanks the guys for letting him and Jones be a part of all of this, and says that the fight between him and Jon Jones will be only competition-based with no animosity. Really? And closes out with, "Y'all are still awesome." And meanwhile, all the guys are eating. But sadly, no seconds for Bubba as he slowly heads into a mad descent watching all of the other guys complain about getting fat. And Bubba predicts he'll purposely beat up Kevin Casey and wait until the second round to finish him. At the weigh-ins, Kevin Casey has to drop trow to make weight, and Chael wants to offer to help. It's as weird as it sounds. On the day of the fight, Bubba says he woke up in a fight stance. Can we do a quick test for concussions on this guy? And to get pumped for the fight, Bubba pretends to ride a Harley Davidson while Kevin does some Tai Chi on the patio. Let's fast forward straight to the fight. Round 1. After pressing him up against the cage, Kevin maintains control of Bubba for the first round of a grappling match. He's breaking, or is he? End of round 1. Coach Jon Jones has his best coaching advice ever. "We've got to change this from a jiu-jitsu match to a kickboxing match." And change he does as we head into round 2. A re-energized Bubba is able to pass Kevin's guard and allows his elbows to do the talking for most of the round. And as the buzzer rings, it looks like we're going to a third round. Or not. Never mind. Kevin's had enough and this fight is over, folks. And the news does not sit well with Dana. What? He's not going to answer the fucking bell? Fuck that. Bubba, don't ever tell me I'm about to break. And Bubba asks if that counts as a finish. And Dana's so tickled by the balls of it, he gives it to him anyway. Kevin reveals his kidneys have failed on him before, which oddly is once too many times just for me, and Bubba loves that he took another man's will. Dana then invites Jon Jones and Chael over to discuss the quarterfinal matchups. Dana, this is where I like to hear who the fuck wants to fight who, and then basically do whatever the fuck I want to do anyway. And we have the quarterfinals. Next week, we have our first set of quarterfinals. Colin versus Kelvin, and Dylan versus Luke, and much, much more, and I'm spent. Boom.
Woo! All right, it's Verbal Tap Reckoning Day. On the line with us from the Ultimate Fighter house, Bubba, the Menace, McDaniel. Bubba, how you doing this evening?
Doing good, doing good. How come that minute just keeps stretching on longer and longer? You know, the 1 minute review seems like the 5 minute review. Is there a name change that needs to be happening here?
Good fucking question, Raph. Okay. Jesus, that
yeah,
was...
This is where we should... talk about the segments that we plan out.
Oh, sorry, Raph. I might have neglected to mention that, the guy Jon Jones called the most vicious striker he's ever trained with was also on the line listening to your little 7.5 minute review.
Okay, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Am I allowed to take back everything I just said?
Well, let's ask
Definitely
Bubba.
Not. Definitely not. There are consequences for all of this.
Yes.
What are these consequences?
Did you see those elbows he rained down?
I don't know. How good are you at kickboxing, or how about grappling? Do you do MMA?
Yes, but if you ask the people who train me, no.
Yeah, and kickboxing is a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, kickboxing.
We need to do a little training here, I believe. Just a little.
Hey, Bubba, you just made a comment while I had you on the line. What do you have to do tomorrow for people listening? What's your job? What's your morning like?
My morning job is getting punched in the face by Jon Jones.
I have a conference call at 9 a.m. that I got to tell you I'm feeling pretty good about, because at 9 a.m. tomorrow, I'll be like, what's Bubba up to right now? Oh, he's, grappling with UFC light heavyweight Jon Jones.
No, not grappling tomorrow. Tomorrow's sparring. I really am getting punched all the way in the face all day tomorrow. Yeah, it's going to be great. No. Did you hear, so tell us, this is a good segue into the question. First, how's Raph's review outside of too long? Dude, I love the review. It's one of my favorite parts, honestly. For one, it's kind of about the show I'm on. For two, it's got it's got everything in it. And it's funny. I like listening to it. The way that he talks about everybody, has everybody's personality. Jimmy's personality right there was awesome, by the way.
He's been practicing the Jimmy impression.
I will tell you this: the best part of doing a Jimmy impression is when he invites you to do the worst, and then you look at him and you're like, "Dude, I don't know if you get this for a living, but I do impressions for a living, so it's only going to take me about 5 minutes to realize what register you talk in."
So, Bubba, we've got some, outside of our impressions, we've got some questions for you. Talk us through what changed between the first round and the second round with that fight, because you came out as unstoppable as we've seen anyone perform in the house in that second round. Just talk to us about it.
Well, honestly, it's a confidence thing, and in the first round, I knew what had to be done, and honestly, Kevin was doing what he had to do to win the fight, and not letting me do anything. I was trying to get up off my back. I was trying to get myself into positions to get up, and I just couldn't. And there's a spot where you hear somebody yell that Bubba's breaking or whatever, and in my mind at that point, I'm going, dude, are you seriously saying that I'm breaking? Like right now, we're in the first round of a fight and I'm breaking? Get real. So at that point, it was one of those things where, all right, I got to change modes if they're thinking this, because I don't need Kevin having any more confidence since the dude was doing such a good job of holding me down, So
not inflicting any damage. Also,
switch. What's that?
He wasn't inflicting any damage, is worth noting.
From our point of view, it didn't look like there was a lot of damage. Was that correct?
That is absolutely correct. At that time, I hadn't taken any damage at all, really. The only thing that was happening was I was like, oh, God, I could lose a decision by this guy laying on me. So, but, if that was what was going to happen, man, I was going to be very, very unhappy with myself, because, like I say, I do hold myself to a different standard of the way that I consider myself as a fighter. And, at that point, I just hadn't shown it.
Well, the switch was flipped because, and I'll actually say this, I thought you had won the fight outright. It felt like almost a little bit of intervention that we were even headed to a third round because you won both games. You won the grappling game and the who can hit who in the face with the most elbows game.
Yeah, definitely took a page out of Tito's old school book right there, I guess, huh?
Yeah, it actually was. You see that shoulder sort of go forward, and then just the punishment. I was actually surprised he stuck in the side guard so much.
Yeah,
or a half guard, I guess.
He was actually trying to turn his hips and everything, and whenever I wasn't punching, it was because I was trying to keep his hips still, and I was trying to keep him pressed into the cage and make him to where he had no option other than to get hit in the face as soon as he stops moving.
I mean, Bubba, I'm not gonna lie
at the same
here.
time,
I'm not gonna lie here. I thought if you hit him one more time with your elbows, candy was gonna pop out of him.
That would have been awesome.
It would have been awesome.
Because at that time I was hungry.
Oh God, sorry.
In the house.
All you need to know about Bubba the Menace McDaniel from a fighting perspective. I'm going to give you your tagline. Somebody will write this in an article eventually. All you need to know about Bubba's dedication is that he skipped fucking Thanksgiving to make weight for this fight.
The sad part is that's about the 5th year in a row. I always get fights at the 1st of December for some reason. And Thanksgiving is right there, and I'm like, yeah, Thanksgiving was awesome this year. Not? All right. Yeah. Oh, you want seconds and thirds? Oh, yeah. Go fuck yourself.
I was right with you. Even the outburst, and I'm glad, Raph, you got it, because it's one of those outbursts I don't think a person watching wasn't like, oh, I totally understand. Yeah, I'd be super pissed, too.
I mean,
that's the dead serious way I felt about it. Because whenever you have Thanksgiving that you have to miss, people kind of tend to go elsewhere. You don't stay very long. You come by, you say hi to everybody. You go home and you lay back on the couch and feel like you're dying. Well, there it was. The whole house was doing that, or I could go lay in the room and be by myself. So I wanted to be down there and try to have a little bit of time with other people in the house, but man, I just hated every second of it.
Yeah, and you've got a job to do, which I think is the other part.
What was the most tempting food that you saw there that night?
Oh man, there was everything from desserts to hams to turkeys to stuffing and just deviled eggs. It was everything you could think of was there, and every bit of it just you could look at it and your mouth would start watering. And so I would believe everything was.
I will say when I watched you go into your descent of madness, it made me realize how fat I was as I was eating and watching the episode. I was just like, oh man, I'm so fat. This guy's training for a living, and here I am complaining this Dorito sucks.
Well, you were 189 also, like a day before, right?
That's the thing is I think that was the morning of the weigh-in that they showed that weigh-in.
Jesus.
Because I'm never under 190 when I wake up in the morning. Heck, I was hitting 210 in between the weigh-in at the house.
They didn't show that.
And I wasn't the only one. That's the thing is I wasn't the only one. It's just that whenever I lost to Kelvin, that meant, okay, you get to make weight an extra time before anything else can happen again. So it was definitely a hard thing on me. And I thought, going in just with the normal fights and the normal times to have to weigh in that it was going to be rough enough. And then they're like, oh, yeah, you lose, you get to make weight again because of the wild card. Don't get me wrong, I was very, very thankful for the wild card, but I literally wanted to kill myself at times for having to make that weight again.
Well, I was trying to do
if I go over here and lay down, I could just die in this corner right now, and it would be okay.
I was trying to do the math, and I think, was it like 3 weeks in between your fight to the wild card matchup?
3 weeks?
That's what I had heard.
It might have been that way on the show, whenever they showed it, but yeah, the entire series is filmed in a lot shorter time span than people think. So I don't know if everybody realizes, but it's only 6 weeks that you're in that house for the whole tournament.
So you're fighting almost every other day. Then there's a fight every other day.
Well, I can't really get into those specifics of everything, but you can do the math on how often you can spread it out yourself, and just look at it from that kind of perspective. And
no shit. And the wild card's an extra fight too, so you're fighting, that extra 50% over any other. Especially now that we know that you've won, and yeah, we're not going to ask you to reveal anything in the show, but we do know that you've advanced to the semifinals. So I guess it's quarterfinals.
Quarter.
Final is what they consider that, but yeah,
Gotcha.
Definitely in the quarterfinals now.
Yeah, quarterfinals. Yeah, and we're gonna definitely ask you what your what the game plan is for this upcoming fight against Uriah Hall. Can you talk us through the fight with Kelvin?
The fight with Kelvin, man. Honestly, it was just a fight where I didn't have a grasp on how explosive his hips were. That guy was really, really something hard to control. Usually I get on top of people. If I put hooks in on your back and I try to stretch you out, you're going flat and I'm beating your ears all the way in.
Yeah.
And this guy was like, no, I'm staying here. You can try to punch around if you want, and as soon as you do, I'm going to explode up and something crazy is about to happen.
He is pretty compact. He's very compact.
It was, and I even told Coach Mir and everybody, I said it was so weird trying to get hooks in on him because his hip base is so wide. And, when you try to ride somebody's hips or try to get yourself into control of them, you just can't, because it was like I was wrapping around a horse at that point. People that are in the sport at my weight now are usually as tall as me, and you have thin waist. So my knees and my legs wrap all the way around. I'm able to stretch you out easy. Well, when it felt like I went to stretch him out, my legs were bowed out. And, at the same time, I used every bit of strength I had, and he didn't budge an inch.
Jeez.
So it was one of those things where I was like, okay, need a new game plan. What's going on here?
Yeah, and it almost seems fair to say that it'll be interesting to see if you guys fought that again, because you also looked and you made a comment about it on the show that you just weren't feeling well that day.
It wasn't that I was feeling bad. I felt like physically fine. I just felt like I was having a brain fart during the fight.
Gotcha.
Like at different times, and I felt like, I just wasn't there at times. There were other times when I was like, oh, there's my move. I hit sweeps. I did things that I should have. I just wasn't punching in positions when I normally just go to trying to wail on people.
Yeah.
And, I didn't use any kind of striking. I let him, dictate what was going on there. And it was just, it was mind-boggling to me that I didn't perform the way that I wanted to perform. And hats off to Kelvin. That dude finished me. He didn't just, we didn't just go to a decision and him win a decision because he was having a better fight. That dude finished me.
No, he did. He got that rear naked choke in quick.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you can see it in my eyes. I get pictures sent to me all the time of, just, I guess, in hate mails and everything of, yeah, you remember this? I'm like, yep, remember it very well. I remember looking at the lights going, holy crap, this is happening. So,
yeah, to your credit.
It reminded me there, fella.
Yeah, to your credit, it took a while. You did. Like, I honestly thought you were out, and then you were still moving your face. It was like, oh my God, how is he still awake?
Well,
but
had that moment where he had to ask the ref, right? He didn't know if you were out.
Yeah, no, it was one of those things where I was going to let myself go out, but at the same time, if you do let yourself go to sleep on a show like that, too, because of how fast the fights are, I don't think I would have been eligible for the wild card either. It was something that snapped in my head, like, real fast as I was getting – because I've had other fights where I'm getting choked, and I'm like, well, this is it. And I wait for the the lights to go out. And on that one, I was like, oh, wait. But, it was a really hard moment for me because like I said, I looked dead at the lights of the ceiling, going, "This is happening," and it was one of those things where I was ready to just go pound my head into a wall for an hour. So.
Yeah. Sure. No, I'm a jiu-jitsu grappler. It's a tough feeling. Obviously, it's different on your level with televisions and getting hit and stuff, but so I can kind of sympathize.
Man, I didn't do too well in my first grappling tournament either, so no worries, man. It's something that feels just like a fight, honestly. The nerves walking out there and the way that you feel like you're using every ounce of your muscle and everything just pumping and you have adrenaline. That's the same way a fight feels to me.
Yeah, I guess it would. You guys look pretty psyched out. You do a pretty good job, all of you, of kind of hiding the nerves. It seems like once the actual fight starts, or once it's game day.
It's a really funny feeling. Is the first minute or two of a fight is still really pumped up and adrenaline rushed for me. But after that, it comes to where it's like, okay, we're going through the motions again. I've trained for this, and it takes a long time. I've had, who knows? I've had from tough man to amateur MMA to pro MMA. I've had 43 fights now, and it's
43.
one of those things that, it's one of those things that you kind of get a grip on it after a little bit, and it takes a while. Don't get me wrong, but you understand that the first couple minutes, if you aren't in there and you aren't nervous and your adrenaline isn't going, something's wrong. You're not ready to fight. So, because, this guy's trying to hurt you. But after that, you get your wits about you. You start thinking through situations, and, that's why they say, a veteran, it's veteran moves that you make because you're not making those little mistakes from not thinking during a fight.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, you hear that, Raph? That means we're about 30 podcasts away from not making the little mistakes anymore. From Bubba's lips to God's ears.
Fellas. No worries, fellas. You're doing good so far. I've kept my attention on the regular. I love it.
Which we appreciate. And for those that don't watch the show, well, you're probably not listening to this podcast because pretty much every MMA fan I can talk to has been tuning in this season because you guys are putting on a spectacle. But for those that don't know, Tuesdays at 9, tune in and tweet these guys because they're a ton of fun and they actually interact, and it's one of the few sports you can really interact with the people you're watching. All right, Bubba, we are jacked for this next quarterfinal rounds of fights. Obviously, you can't tell us how anything goes. Can you tell us a little bit about the strategy when you find out you're fighting Uriah Hall?
The strategy at that point is, I think that might have to be a part of the show too, honestly. But the strategy is not get kicked in the face. How's that?
He does still hold the knockout of the season. He's put a spinning back kick through through Adam Sella's face.
I'm going to tell you what, man. That was one of the scariest things I've ever seen live, to tell you the truth. Like, it was really, really bad. It was way worse than it was shown on TV. And
it had to have been, because I can only imagine what the 30 seconds of him breathing like that looked real time. It probably felt like 10 minutes.
Oh, dude, I can tell you like this. It felt like everything that went on, it felt like an hour. But I think it probably, like, when they got down to real time of everything was probably 10 to 12 minutes, something like that, of everything that happened. Jesus. But still, that's just ridiculous amount of time to be sitting there going, is he okay?
Yeah, even in the most
you saw it, man.
Knockouts.
I had tears in my eyes. I thought I watched somebody's life just change. Like literally thought somebody's life just changed in front of my eyes, and it was saddening to me. It was very sad.
Even from a television perspective, because watching it, it was probably about 7 to 10 minutes total before we knew he was okay.
Yeah.
And it was genuinely the most terrifying moment the Ultimate Fighter's ever have. And I'm not just talking about the show. Like, I've never seen a fight end like that and seen someone even on pay-per-view events.
Yeah. Well, on pay-per-view events, things like that, too, they do cut away a lot. They have a lot of ways of keeping people from not realizing a guy is still down on the canvas.
That takes us into a show question. How much don't we see? Like, if you gave us a percentage point, do we not see like 90%?
I would say more than 90%. Honestly, it's I've seen a lot of things that I've been like, just going, huh. But like I say, I can't really go into details on that either. But
now, I know you maybe can't describe it in great detail, but are there things that you wish we did see? Like, can you talk about any kind of moment like that you wish the camera did get to focus in on?
Probably more of me and the people interacting good, because everybody thinks I'm awesome, like as in like fun, hang out. I tell the truth. And I'm a really nice guy to people. But, it's like I told him, I said, when I got asked questions, I told them real. And I'm just, that's the way it is. And I came up as soon as I would be done with, saying what I said, I'd go up to them and go, or anybody, and they'd be like, well, how was it? Well, this is what I said. Or, if I caught them up with them later, well, did you say this? Or you say that? Well, yeah, I said it. Here you go. This is why I said it. And, it's just something about me. You want honesty, you're going to get it. And I've got no problem with saying anything to anybody. If you think that I'm not going to, then you've got another thing coming. But at the same time, I don't want to hurt your feelings right off the bat, but I'll tell you.
Sure. Because I thought that one thing that was interesting that they have on like some of the web exclusives, especially now watching in retrospect, is you and Uriah had a moment where you were talking about how you were wondering what it all meant, like after your loss to Kelvin. And Uriah was the one who was basically telling you, "No, man, you're a good fighter. Like, I think you got a lot in you." And you don't see that kind of moment in the show,
Yeah, that's the YouTube extra stuff and and the Ultimate Fighter extras. Yeah,
we're diehards. We like to get the extra.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes on for that I've seen on web extras, things like that. That I'm like, man, that'd have been cool to see on the show, But. Yeah. It's we did a lot of fun stuff in the house, just with us, just running around acting goofy, we would we would do a few different things that as soon as this is over and I know what they're going to show, I'd like to be able to say like, hey man, we did this and it was awesome, but
well, we'll have to schedule to have you back for the exclusive behind the scenes of the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, so and there's just little moments, that teams share, things like that too, that I'm sure that, just won't make it because it wasn't really interesting. But with us, it was really funny and, we had a good time with it. Or it was something we just did to each other daily just to laugh as an inside joke or something. There was a few things that went on.
Now, can you tell us from your perspective how it is that both you and your team perceived Team Sonnen?
It was really weird. We were the whole time separated, like we separated ourselves into teams. It wasn't that we interacted very much with everybody else. The interactions were like, dinner or, late at night when they're playing cards, something like that. Other than that, we were really segregated. It was really weird. I didn't think that it would be that way, but it really was. Like Zach Cummings, man, a dude that I talked to before and everything like that. And heck, I barely talked to him there, so it was really weird.
Don't worry, the cameras have barely talked to him too.
Yeah, you can forget Zach's on the show from time to time.
And that's the bad part is that guy is awesome. Like he's a
we
great
haven't seen
guy.
Kelvin since you fought him.
Yeah, I literally at one point I think 3 weeks ago when at the Hooters. They slid him in and I go, holy shit, he's on the cast. I totally forgot.
Yeah, Kelvin has disappeared. The best thing that happened to Kelvin was fighting you. Because otherwise, we have not seen him.
Well, let's be real. Probably Ronda Rousey.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. There was that. And hey, how do you feel about the fact that he had incentive like that before he got to go fight?
I feel like I still don't want to meet Ronda Rousey. How's that? I hold grudges over things like that. Oh, you want to meet Ronda Rousey? Not really.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
But,
you'll have to cope with the fact that you train with you train with the best fighters in the world.
I do believe so also.
Which we've taken up almost about 20, 25 minutes of your time, and we still have about half of our topics left to get to. We have to. I
right,
have
man.
a huge crush on Carlos Condit. I got to ask you what it's like training with Carlos Condit.
Carlos is honestly like, he's one of those guys to where no matter what you throw at him, he can answer it. And it's really awkward. And I don't care what weight you're at, anything like that. He will get in there. He will fight with you. And, you know, he's been with Kyotera and everything lately. And, man, that dude has jumped levels from stuff he does on the ground. It's just ridiculous. Like, there were things that he did, you know, the last couple times we were grappling that I was just like, you dick. Like, where the hell did that come from, you know? And, you know, it was really cool, you know, get invited over to, you know, go eat dinner, things like that, you know, whenever the countdown stuff was around. You know, I was actually in the house when the DSP Carlos countdown was going on, but yet I was you know, on the countdown there. People were coming in from the show going, I watched you last night. I was like,
yeah,
well.
I did think that was weird. I saw you in the, no, we actually did the math on that at one point.
Yeah, but it was, you know, it was fun. You know, I had a good time. You know, Carlos is honestly, he's an epic dude to be around. You know, like, just the things that he's accomplished and the way that he trains and you know, he does push, man, and he goes out and fights everybody. Like, you know, his last fight with Johnny, man.
Yeah.
I was just like going, holy crap, dude, you're really good. Like, obviously, Johnny Hendricks' takedown is something crazy to stop.
Yeah.
And, you know, to be getting back to his feet as much as he was and throwing the strikes he was, and, you know, Johnny Hendricks obviously hurt his hand on Carlos's head, you know. Carlos
I did like
those
that.
left hands. I was like, oh, you know, like, the respect I have for that guy is something ridiculous. Like, that guy is awesome.
Well, I actually am curious what your opinion on this is, because I felt like every time Johnny Hendricks took, and it was a great fight, so don't get me wrong, I like Johnny Hendricks, but Carlos is, outside of, maybe you now that you're on the show, but he's my favorite fighter. Every time he took him down, he immediately controlled the action and started striking from the bottom. How does that work? How does he still lose those exchanges when it looked like he was winning them?
Well, you've got to think of it from a judge's perspective now. They have to judge each round individually, right? They have to turn in a scorecard. They have to, you know, go amongst aggression, octagon control, you know, everything that comes into play for a fight.
Okay.
And the way that they've been taught to judge things like that, you know, countdowns they count pretty highly, you know, and, I mean, it's almost as much as a knockdown, you know, as the way that takedowns are scored now. And, you know, even though Carlos was the busier guy, landing the damage, you know, and things along that line, you know, it was definitely a thing where Johnny hit as many takedowns as he needed to keep control of most of the rounds.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, Carlos had moments of brilliance rolling through, hitting his feet, coming
definitely.
up, punching, you know, just, and it was literally like, if you went back to Pride, I believe, and as I say, you know, you've got 3 rounds to where judges had to score 5 minutes at a time, and they have to score three rounds as 3 different fights. You go to Pride rules, they used to score it as 1 fight total. You know, if you want to go into who won the fight as a fight, I think, you know, if you had different rules or something like that, that Carlos could have been, you know, a winner of that fight, but that's not the way it's scored now. So the way that's scored and the way that we go into the fights and we understand how it's scored and how a fight is going to happen, you know, win or lose at that point is a different thing. You know, if you want to talk about an MMA match, yeah, Johnny Hendricks won. But if you want to talk about a fight, and if you were to see that somewhere else, Carlos Condit was putting some hands on Johnny Hendricks, I felt like. So,
Oh, believe you me,
you know,
Kevin
you can look at it, and I can make
room.
the argument all day long, you know, because he's my buddy. But
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Kevin was inconsolable.
I wasn't pleased.
Murmuring to himself in his sleep, just being like, Carlos Condit, he won that fight. He won that fight. I'm getting texts from him.
Don't
it's
even
just like, this is bullshit, Raph.
It's also a continuous strain where I'm watching my boy. I feel comfortable enough to call Carlos
Look,
that.
Here's the thing, Bubba. Can you do me a favor, just for the sake of keeping my co-host sane here? Is there a way you can hook him up on a date or something, or like a dinner? Just because I'm never going to hear the end of this from Kevin. Like, this is his life's dream. He talks about him continuously. This is all off of the air stuff that we don't really cover.
I tell you what, you come to Albuquerque, and I'll definitely make the introduction for you, and you can actually set up your own date at that point. But I'll make an introduction for you.
Boy,
that's all we ask.
And let's put this down in history. The first time I've been like, yeah, I got to get to Albuquerque. There it is. It just happened.
Well, the sad part is, Bubba, now you've got yourself into a mess of trouble. I don't think you are ready for Kevin Phillips to show up.
I don't think there'll be any trouble. And plus, give me a little bit of hell, and I can squeeze you down real tight. You might not go anywhere.
Yeah, no kidding. We've noticed, especially with your apparent jiu-jitsu skills. No, getting back to the fights, he also had one of those fights with GSP that I thought we should see again. And I certainly thought Condit deserved a shot at GSP before, say, the Diaz insanity that followed. So that's partially why I took this particular loss even harder from a Condit fan perspective.
Carlos did well in that fight compared to what normal people do against GSP also, because, you got to think, GSP was shown that, you're a man again whenever you got kicked in the head. It's like, you're not immortal. You
can get knocked down.
In your own head, you can be taken down if you're not on top of your game also. And I was jumping up and down. Yeah, and, me and John were both sitting there, arm in arm, going, come on, finish him, we're like jumpy, giddy little girls, whenever Carlos is on top, just hoping and praying for that finish, and it, obviously it didn't happen, and GSP obviously imposed the same game plan that he's been doing for the last few years now.
Yeah.
But
this is why we love you, by the way. Comments like that are why we're big fans. Thank you.
You're not used to making sound bites. What are you talking about?
Yeah. You actually just we completely agree with you, but you just segued us into an interesting concept. You talked about John Jones, and we've already talked about what you have to do tomorrow. Are you in camp for UFC 159? Is that what's going on?
UFC 159 for John and Stonen.
Yes.
I'm actually in camp for the finale right now. Everybody in our cast is getting a finale fight, other than Tor and Adam Sella, and they will be fighting the week before the finale.
Oh, very cool.
So everybody in our cast impressed enough to where everybody's getting a fight, at least one fight with the show.
Without question. That's not even debatable. If you've watched the last 5 to 7 seasons, and I have, and not to call them out, but you guys, the fights have been phenomenal. Every one of these it belongs on a card, and that's kind of your judgment, right? Like, every one of these would be absolutely headlining any of the Fuel events. They've been phenomenal fights. So
Kevin, just to put things in perspective, like right now, the investment that FX has with you guys is really high. Like, your ratings have gone up because of this season. And just to put things in perspective, one episode of Smash on NBC costs $5 million, and you guys are beating it. It's wonderfully, ridiculously amazing. It's great that you get an actual quality entertainment program beating what people just think you can throw money at. So from our perspective, man, Kevin and I have been reinvigorated. Last year, we were both trying to do The Ultimate Fighter, and I think I gave up midway through.
I didn't actually watch that season at all, and I even had a friend on there, Igor. So it was just one of those things where, obviously the format needed to be revamped like they have, and they needed to actually take more time to get more talented fighters compared to picking for mostly personality. Like Julian Lane, man, that guy's in there scrapping. Don't get me wrong, but talent wise, anybody from our season, pick him up, anything like that. If he was a bigger guy, anybody from our season would have trashed him. And that's just the way I feel. I could be wrong, but things along those lines. It's just, the fight quality, the quality of fighters. Even you've got Kelvin 5-0. Heck, man, I've been doing this for I don't know how many years, and that guy came out and finished me. I mean, you just got to understand, guys that are in this season are there to fight and they're there to finish. They want we want bonuses and we want to win the whole thing. That's the way it is.
I was really glad you got your bonus, by the way. Has anyone ever seen that before? A fighter refused to come out to the third? Have you, Raph, or Bubba seen that?
I've seen it.
I do believe that made Ultimate Fighter history, though, because nobody in the Ultimate Fighter has done it. So,
definitely never in the show.
Yeah, I've seen it before, and it's one of those things where you can't come back from it very well. Like Brian Bowles, when he lost to Dominic Cruz, didn't come out because he had a broken hand. How many times have you seen Uriah Faber come out with broken hands?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Pretty much every fight since he was fighting at the... Since he was fighting at the Indian casinos, he's been fighting with broken hands.
Yeah, exactly. And, at that time, Brian Bowles was the champ. And you didn't come off your stool because one of your hands was hurt? Huh. No. Put that thing up against your face, block with it, don't punch with it. But, keep it there and go out and finish your fight.
Yeah.
At that point, you've put too much into that to just up and quit.
Agreed, man.
Yeah, you have a different code.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I could say that too. I get injured on my way to this podcast. This podcast isn't happening. I'll tell you this, this has been something I've wanted to ask you like this whole time. How would you describe your relationship with Jon Jones before and after this experience?
Before the experience, Jon Jones was a teammate that took care of me because I was doing, the camps with him, things like that. We were friends. We'd hung out and things. And he knew a little bit about me, just I'm a country boy, things like that. I'm not really a country boy, but I have that southern accent and a little bit of southern hospitality, I would say.
Not at all. I don't hear it at all in your voice.
Yeah, I would have guessed uptown New York, but
up New York is where we were guessing.
Yeah, New Jersey maybe. No, we can sense the Texas from ways away.
There, either turn in a Jersey accent or something. No, I definitely would shoot myself. That would have to happen. Yeah. No, but I ain't gonna lie, man. It was a good relationship beforehand, and it was one of those things where he understood more about me once all that started happening. And from the first couple of weeks, he's like, man, I think you're gonna do this. I think you're gonna win this. And it happened to somebody that knew me. They're going, dude, there's no way you can't win this. And it was a big confidence boost for myself. And and I fed on it. And so it kind of was one of those things where we built. And now that we're back here at camp again, we watch the show, like ourselves, and we'll come back and talk about what happened, and oh, you remember that, and there's fun stuff, about. And he's honestly too. We were sitting there and I was showing him my Twitter and all the hate that comes to me, and he goes, "Man, people hate you." I was like, "Yeah, you have no idea. People hate me," and but at the same time, he's like, "I don't get it." He goes, "I know you." He goes, "I watch things," and he goes, "Man," he goes, "they don't know you're really nice, do they?" I was like, "No, they really don't." I was like, but at the same time, they've taught a piece of my personality too, though, that's not so nice at times, and that's what people are hanging on to. So,
well, I mean, that's what the producers want to cut. You know what I mean? It's the most interesting part of the television. Nobody's going to get on the TV being all super quiet and saying really nice things about everybody.
Well, there you go. It's like I said, once again, I'm asked the question, I'm going to give you the honest answer. So
we appreciate
get ready for it.
I'm actually, Raph, are you surprised he's kind of portrayed, though, as a villain? I'm not even portrayed. I feel like maybe in the beginning they gave you a little bit more abruptness, but I'm surprised people are still.
But, I mean,
I get daily tweets and, Facebook messages and everything about I'm the biggest douche in Ultimate Fighter history, or I'm Jon Jones' butt buddy, things like that. The only reason I got the wild card, and it's ridiculous on a daily. And since it's been talking more about my kids, I've had some people that really need to be choked all the way to sleep, and then kicked in the face afterwards. For some of the comments that have been made for stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, it's not something that doesn't bother me. because it does. And I'll say you saying stuff about my kids or my relationship with my kids. That's a point where I don't feel like you should be crossing. Say something about me, being a fighter, things like that. But don't talk about my kids.
That's the whole thing. Is like when you start talking about your kids on the show, and I'm looking here for jokes, and I just go, "What am I supposed to do with this?" You can't talk shit about your kids. Like,
and that's the difference. People want to tell me about things like that, and they tell me how horrible I am to this, how horrible I am to that, and cussing me, and I'm going, dude, aren't you just doing the same exact thing right now?
Well, that's
you're doing the same thing that you're hating on.
With what Kevin's describing right here and why you're a villain in this, it's like not like you've taken any families hostage. You just said very honest answers.
I think you just talked some shit once to Kevin Casey. Yeah. That was mostly it. I mean, that was kind of...
You called out a person that's like, oh, God damn it, this guy, he's on my hate list.
Yeah.
I'm just shocked to hear.
For hate. It was for, I'm going to beat this guy. That's another thing, is I came in trying to strategize. We were definitely trying to keep control for our team one way or another. I figured that at that time Kevin was the one that would bite on the hook, and I could keep control for our team. And, it backfired just as well as everything else has.
But, I think it worked out in the end.
Yeah, and...
Oh, yeah. After seeing that episode, and a lot of people want to talk about, his medical standpoint, things like that, And, honestly... I don't think I can lead you up to what's happening in the next episodes or what they talk about like that. But there's no reason for not standing up and going out and taking your finish, your beating or whatever, because you did, at least fight to a third round, and there should have been a third round. That's what we always sign up for. Any MMA fight now at our level is 3 rounds. The 2 rounds is kind of an awesome thing for us. We're like, heck yeah,
Yeah.
We only got to fight 2 rounds. Looks like I get to fight a little harder for 2 rounds instead of having to go, oh, crap.
The biggest question had to have been, when I'm watching it, I just go, wait, so you've had kidney problems, and that didn't come up before this fight? Like, that wasn't a concern before that.
My kidneys would also have problems if you were elbowing me in the face like that, though. I would like to publicly state that. I feel like my kidneys would be like, oh, no, yeah, we're done.
Right. And I think
probably around elbow 17.
It was like, oh, shit. Yeah, I guess that does happen. But from my own fight context, that's what I was trying to figure out between that and what you're talking about here was just, damn, dude, you're a fighter, man. That's the gig, right?
Right, exactly. And don't get me wrong, I was, I didn't realize he had kidney issues at that time myself.
No one did.
I didn't realize anything. And I've been told, you get up and celebrate after hurting a man's kidneys. Well, I didn't realize he had kidney problems, but don't get me wrong, I was pounding that body because I was trying to break him down and make it, the rest of his body follow. But do I wish that he was hurt, anything like that? If I knew, anything like that? And people are asking, well, didn't he get medically checked? And yes, you get medically checked. You are medically cleared and everything before every fight. You check with the doctor after every fight. I mean.
Yeah, because the doctors have held people out of fights before. I mean, they'll medically intervene. The doctors will stop a fight. Like, they'll keep somebody from going in the octagon if anything doesn't check out.
Oh, definitely. There's precautions that are taken, for every fight, especially when you're fighting for, a company that's, the premier company of the world. Do you think they're going to let you go in there unhealthy? Come on, get real.
No kidding. Yeah. This is, okay, so we've now sufficiently talked to you about all of our pretty awesome fighting topics that we had identified. Now we have some really, we got to add some silliness.
Awesome. Definitely up for some shenanigans.
We've been thinking about a signature move for you. Well, I've been thinking about a signature move for you. And I have 2.
Okay, shoot.
The first one plays off of your Texasness. It's called the rodeo. Okay, it's very important that while your opponent is standing, you take his back and get hooks in. Gonna get one arm around the throat, sort of to get leverage, and then you just scream cowboy noises and rain down that right hand. And if you can stay on for 8 seconds afterwards, you'll just be like, I finished him with the rodeo. Tell people what it is, and that'll be your new finishing move.
Okay, as long as I can hit him with the left hand, we can call it the rodeo because I'm left-handed and I can put the left at that point. But
rule accepted.
That is something that could actually happen.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
These are both very meticulous. That was my favorite. I can see you taking someone's back. I mean, obviously. Get a little standing.
My buddy Jason Maxwell used to actually, in fights, he would act like, he's getting a lasso ready, and if he'd finish him, he'd go out into the middle and act like he was picking up a calf and tying him down. It was pretty funny.
I've actually helped tie a calf down before. It's no joke, so I appreciate it on both levels. That's good stuff.
Yes, sir.
Right,
yes, sir.
Kevin, what's your second one, though?
The second one is called the plumber. All right, so he turtles up to avoid some sort of submission. You punch him from between his legs and give him the rain down knockout, and that one's called the plumber.
The plumber, I do believe, will be a little bit harder because I would think I'd be putting myself in armbar danger at that point if I do.
My concern was, Kevin, you did not clear the plumber with me at all, so that's why I'm listening to these two and I go, all right, the rodeo I can kind of see. The plumber just sounds like bad news central for your own arm, and that's assuming you're going to get the reach in there.
Sure, but let's say he's not a grappler and he exposes his face. You just
let's say it's a guy with no arms and no legs.
Well, everybody gets to fight. All right, so it sounds like the rodeo. You should consider the rodeo.
Okay, the rodeo is definitely considered, and as a matter of fact, the next time I'm grappling, I am going to be practicing the rodeo.
Please,
take it back.
Yes, and
yeah.
The plumber's just a YouTube sensation. Like, I think from a side angle, people are going to be like, that's genius. Look at him bring down.
Like the weird shadow that just falls in perfectly where you're standing next to the girl.
Exactly.
Over, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Hey, where did your nickname come from, by the way? Where's the Menace from?
My nickname?
Yeah.
As I say, I used to live up to it. I was definitely a menace, like a bad, like, I should say, somebody that I wouldn't introduce to my kids. How's that?
Okay.
It was one of those things that just kind of, is stuck, and try to go back to being a little bit rooted there when it comes fight time again.
Yeah, I could definitely understand that, wanting to tap into that crazy side. Okay, that's good. The Menace is good, and we critique pretty much every nickname of anyone fighting. The Menace is up there.
Give me a bad one. What would have been bad?
The Untested.
Yeah, we had the Untested. We also had someone. Oh gosh, hold on. I'll look back. Bad Blood.
Bad Blood.
Bad Blood's pretty bad.
How about I actually fought a guy named Johnny Reese. He's the hater herder.
Yes, the hater herder's a good one. Ian McCall's Uncle Creepy. I even like Ian McCall. I like the stuff he's done. It's just Uncle Creepy's an awful nickname.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy. There you go.
Yeah, it automatically makes you think he's a villain. I do love.
Oh man, I'm telling you.
The best one is obviously the Natural Born Killer is up there with like.
Jesus Christ, Kevin.
I'm just saying it's also a good nickname.
Natural Born Killer, and then watching the way that what used to trip me out is when he was in WC, and he'd be standing with his arms wide, and they'd yell that, and he'd throw his hands up, and the look on his face was like, yeah, that fits. It's like, oh Jesus, he's intense. He's intense. And that was way before I even knew him. It was just one of those guys that you watch and you're like, that guy is, yeah. He's a natural born killer. Yeah, that's it.
So, Bubba, if we're allowed to ask, what was the bowling score that you ended up with?
I believe that I had the best average of the day. I had out of the top 4 games played, I had 3 of them. And that's how many games I played. The only person to do anything was Dylan. Dylan actually beat me. I think he ended up with like a he had like a 180 something, and I was running in the 160s, I believe.
Okay,
and,
that's not bad.
Like I had a 160 game. I might have had a 140 game as my low, but I had some pretty good games. But
because I'll tell you this much
Dylan,
right now.
Actually, what's that?
I'll tell you this much right now. But finish your thought on Dylan. I'll go on after that.
Oh, okay. I didn't even hear that last little point. I'm sorry.
Oh, I just said finish your thought on Dylan. I'll go with my question right after that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Dylan just ended up, having one stellar game, and I was sitting there watching him going, "Are you kidding me? You're actually going to beat me right now?" Whenever I think he bowled, 2 games of 90 before that. So it was,
wow.
it was kind of humbling there. I'm like, oh man.
Because I'll tell you this right now, I will never ever reach a point where I'll beat you at grappling, and especially not at kickboxing. But I'll give you a run for your money at bowling.
Oh yeah. That's one of the fun things that you can go in there and have a good time with and have a good game and say you're awesome. And I think I was having a good night. I think my average on that on a normal bowling night is somewhere around like 125. But I was having a good night that night. So,
it's pretty good though. It's I mean, dude, the best thing I always tell people when they go bowling, I'm just like, just get over 100. If you get over 100, you do respectfully.
There you go. And that's what everybody's shooting for. If you're not, there's something wrong with you.
Agreed. Other question: how much NOS did you drink in the house?
Are you forced to drink NOS?
Are you forced to look at a can of NOS?
You are not forced to, but after weigh-ins and stuff, I definitely had more NOS than I was supposed to. The sugar-free NOS, that was just in plentiful abundance there. And I had a little bit, but it was something that at the time I was like, okay, need a little treat. Here we go, and it was a NOS can. So
now, who was the most surprising person in the house, and why?
Most surprising person. I would have to say Adam Sella, honestly, because you meet the guy right off the bat, and he kind of sits there for about a day. And the day that he sat there, I just sat and watched him, and I thought, what in the hell is this dude doing here? He's smaller than most guys here. He's kind of sitting there by himself. He's kind of pretty, he doesn't look like he's been punched too much. It looks like, he needs to be somewhere on a beach with some freaking model sipping a pina colada or something. And then all of a sudden, he breaks out the jokes, and they never stopped. And I was like, this guy is awesome. This guy, and honestly, he's the guy that if you have to be stuck somewhere with, be stuck with Adam, because he will entertain you. Even if you just sit there, you will be entertained.
I did notice
and
that.
Past that, one of my favorite quotes from Adam was when he goes, "Don't let this pretty face fool you. I can fucking fight." And when he got out there and started fighting, and he fought, his fight to get in the house, and I was like, I mean, damn, the guy can fight, and it was just crazy to me. It was crazy. I was completely shocked by that guy at all times.
I mean, honestly, just like the relationship that I think they've depicted between the two of you, I thought has been really nice in the past few episodes. Like, he seemed legitimately concerned when you didn't win, and we even kind of created a little photo meme with that I think got his attention.
He definitely got his attention from that. It was the one where he's sitting by the lockers, I guess, with just that stare. Yeah, definitely.
But I love the fact.
I was just saying, Adam Sella gets the most amount of blue-eyed FaceTime in the HD screen.
FaceTime?
Yeah, that HD screen. You're a close second, you and Uriah. But we see him constantly in that HD screen, just sort of up close. So Adam Sella gets a lot of FaceTime.
Yeah. Adam's been getting a lot. For a little while, though, the first few episodes, my friends were all laughing. They were like, "Is it the Bubba show this year?" I was like, "Well, I don't know." And now, I'm an average. I'm onto an average look of the show, but I still believe I'm on a pretty good bit. But yeah, Uriah and Adam have have a pretty good following on there for it too. You know, it's I guess they had to get the guys that were, you know, in there with a halfway pretty face, and then they got me. I don't understand it, but okay.
Yeah, it actually kind of was pretty Bubba-esque. Well, that's because you pushed the action. You called somebody out. You were the only one that seemingly really wanted to fight, so you had a lot of face time.
It was definitely one of those things where I needed to control my own destiny at that point. So,
fantastic. You know. All right, we have a quick word association game for you.
All right.
And this will be the end. So I'm going to say a name. You just give us some word associations. First thing that pops to your mind.
Got it.
Chael Sonnen.
Nice.
Wow.
Like, seriously nice guy.
This is going to be like the first time that's ever happened on radio, but he is being surprisingly jovial this entire season.
I'm not going to lie. That guy was, in person, the nicest guy I've probably ever met. And, like, you know, helpful, just everything about him was awesome.
Okay, yeah, he's also an odd fan of yours, we've noticed, throughout the show. Like, pretty much
I think it's the just the time and things I put in also, and his coaches actually took a liking to me whenever we were doing the fights to get in the house. You know, I got along real well with his coaches as well as John's coaches. So everybody had a good liking for me. So I believe that it was just one of those things that played over to him.
Yeah.
Having said that, how do you see the fight between him and Jones going?
Depends on what Chael shows up, honestly, on how the fight's going to go. Do I still see John winning no matter what? Yes. But, you know, how great the fight's going to be is, you know, because you had a great Anderson Silva fight. I mean, to the point where, you know, you could say that if Chael would have lasted that little bit, he was world champ. And,
definitely.
You know, then you had the second fight, and the wrong Chael showed up. So, yeah, depends on what Chael shows up.
Real quick, there was some talk of him whispering something to you, or him telling you something. Some point, I guess, during the run. Do you care to elaborate on that?
On the run, I'm confused.
No. At some point, I believe he pulled you aside and told you something. And I actually think I saw you on Twitter just say, "Oh, that's just between you and him." But do you know what he said to you? What was that about?
Oh, you know, he pulled everybody aside at one point or another, I believe. You know, and it was just, you know, him being an encouraging person. You know, no matter what time was coming on, if it was your time about the fight, something like that, he would just, you know, send you some words of encouragement no matter what. He was, you know, telling you that, you know, this, you know, just everything about him was positive, was always positive. So he always had something great to say. Like, you know, you've witnessed a couple of his speeches now on the show, and the dude made many of them.
So it looks like. It looks like he was running for president of the UFC.
You know, more power to him if he did try.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool to watch him, I think, transform the way that he was talking. And during the Thanksgiving speech, when he said that he's there for you guys, it looked like super sincere. And I am hoping that the fight between him and Jones does go on a different route than we've seen, at least for hype-wise, between the talking heads when we get up to that fight. I hope it is just all out of competition.
Correct. Yeah, I think that that's the way it's going. I think that he finally has enough credibility behind him, you know, to where he did his talking, and people want to see him fight now, to where it's time for him to just go, okay, now they want to see me fight, let's go fight.
Instead of, John Jones, what are you going to do when Chael Sonnen puts the hurt on you? I don't really rhyme. This is weird.
Hard to believe we do it live sometimes. Yep. Hard to believe. Okay, last two topics for word associations. Kevin Casey.
Fake. You know, and one guy one way and one guy another. That's the way it feels to me. Like,
I'm also going to say significant bummer of the season that he got the wild card. That was the biggest surprise to me.
I think that was Chael trying to keep his promise of, you know, but what was said at Thanksgiving. I think he was elaborating more upon, you know, when he said he was trying everything in his power to give everybody, you know, a chance to have a fight.
And can you
You know,
also
so.
talk about what would have happened? Like, just walk us through what would have happened had you not gotten the wild card slot.
I would have ate myself to about 280 pounds and been in the house as the biggest guy to make the weight fluctuation ever, and would have probably still trained, but tried to, lay on everybody and just fart, that kind of stuff.
Well, I guess I'm glad that wasn't our alternative. I'm glad you got the fight even more now.
Yeah, me too. I think that
though you were our
Fun
clear
Bubba
choice.
would have started coming out.
From a fighting perspective, like you had clearly done way more, and not to take away from Clint Hester, but you had done way more in your fight than Clint Hester had showed. So,
I'll make an argument for Clint too. It was one of those things where I was honestly expecting to lose it after I watched his fight.
Yeah,
I had the expectance in my head going, crap. You know what I mean? Like, just one of those things where he still went out and performed decently for being taken down. He was still striking. He was still putting a hurting down. And, even though he didn't win, he put on a fight. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Me and Kelvin was a different kind of fight, but neither one of us hurt each other, things like that. Jimmy's head was knotted all the way up after eating those elbows and everything. Clint put a pounding on Jimmy's head. Yeah. So, you've got arguments both ways for that. And, at that point, I was seriously scared. I didn't know.
And then what was your reaction when they just said, okay, we're going to flip a coin?
Go fuck yourself. We'll go back to that. Okay. How's that?
I thought you were going to fight John Jones. If he had reached for a coin, I was like, we're going to get the title early. Here it goes.
Well, it wouldn't be that I was going to fight him, but I was looking at him going, no. I was like, one way or another, you're going to pick something. You're not going to put my life up to chance right now. And that's the way I viewed that, was a part of my life that I'll have to sit and go, that damn coin, If he had a legitimate reason, and goes, I'm picking him for this reason, okay, you picked him for that reason. Yeah. And then, he comes with the reason why he picked me. Okay, you picked me for that reason. That I'm okay with that. A damn coin toss, I'll sit there and I don't know, I'd probably grab the coin, put it in a little case, and shot it with some kind of gun every day.
All right, final word association, VerbalTapCast.
VerbalTapCast. Awesome.
Hey, you heard it here. You heard it here. Yeah. From the Ultimate Fighter.
Listening every week, man. I love it. The 1 minute fighter review is like I say, it's moved over past 1 minute, obviously, but I remember laying up in a bed last week, and I grabbed the girl that was with me, and I said, listen, I love this show. And she's sitting there, telling me, well, I guess they do talk a lot about the show. I was like, of course they do. I was like, it's awesome. But then we listened to the whole show, and there was a lot of stuff that we both sat there laughing about. So, I love the show. It's awesome.
I was about to say, I was really relieved that the moral of that story was, I played this podcast for this girl I was with, and she wasn't impressed.
Yeah, that would have been...
It was pretty different to the ref. You're not that funny. You need to work on it. I would be like, God damn it.
She's like, and Kevin sounds like a dick.
Yeah.
It's happened before.
Guy.
Oh, yeah. Well, we would like to officially thank you for being our first guest, and this is our first guest, ladies and gentlemen, from the Ultimate Fighter, Bubba the Menace McDaniel, but we do have something for you before you go.
Okay, what's that?
Raph, do you want to...
Yeah. We want to put a couple things out there real quick. First of all, again, thank you for being our guest. Amazingly awesome. Big fans mutually. But, a couple things. Not only should you, if you make it out to LA or DC, come hit me and Kevin up. You definitely deserve a beer on our expense for being good-natured about all this. So we'll do that. We'll train with you very shittily. We promise we'll be awful at what we do.
Jiu-jitsu more so than anything else, but I'd love a kickboxing lesson.
The punching in the face. This is the moneymaker, man. I don't know if you know this. I work in entertainment. I got to keep this shit up.
There you go. Okay, we can work around that. We can work around that
we
for
want
sure.
You to know, and more importantly, we want you to know you have a standing invitation as our first guest to come back anytime you want. You let us know you want to put something out there. We're happy to do it with you, man.
And
well, then let's finish out the season.
Yeah, we're going to. As our
I'm down. Let's do Mondays or whenever you're doing your podcast or whatever. Let's do this every time. I'm down for finishing the rest of the season.
Well, let's do it.
All right, folks, you heard it. We had Bubba the Menace on tonight. This show's going places, Raph.
Holy shit. That was pretty good.
How great is that guy? Yeah, we just finished it up, and we went ahead and let Bubba go because, he's got a fight in the morning. He was fantastic.
I got to admit, remember that time that Bubba almost became the third member of this podcast?
I do remember that time, actually.
That was pretty impressive. I am looking forward to seeing him come back. I couldn't believe he was nice enough to offer to do that. I think that's great.
No kidding. We get to have an actual MMA fighter on to talk to us live about the show. And what do we have?
Right,
We've got 3 weeks of the show left.
What they're talking about, as opposed to our nonsense.
Yeah, and the finale. I am stoked. So nicely done. Nicely done to Verbal Tap Productions over here. I would like to place some shout outs. BJJFinder.com, as they're helping us develop our website. No Concept Jiu-Jitsu out in Maryland. Rolled with them last week a couple of times. Great guys.
Nice.
BJJ and MMA Academy. And in that, my buddy Rob tonight got his brown belt. So congrats.
Congrats. That's great to hear, man.
And that awesome. Good teacher. Just a good guy. Always one of the people that'll take you aside and show you how he choked you out and why different pressure works. So really stoked to hear that he got his promotion. It's good
pretty
stuff.
Sweet, man.
VMAC.
The good folks over there, always great. And a special shout out to John Evans, who I saw like this podcast. I don't know why. But John Evans is like, as you'll attest for yours, for Rob, I think, John is the nicest person who will choke you out.
Yeah, Rob's not nice, but I get what you're saying. Rob's
Fair
got
enough.
some attitude.
But I mean, John is the nicest person I know that's just kind of like, did you just get choked out? Are you okay, buddy? And you're like, yeah, dude, that wasn't fun. You're really good at what you do. No, that was a great transition into my choke. Good job, man.
It was all you.
Yeah, he's always like complimenting you, and you're just like, stop complimenting me. We want to shout out to Adam Sella, who has accepted our nominee as funniest member of the cast.
Yeah, that's pretty much accomplished. He's up
pretty
there.
Awesome. We also want to shout out Phil Powell, who has named this one of his favorite podcasts and has retweeted us a couple times to his friends and said that we're great.
Thank you, Phil.
Jeremy Harland as well. That's pretty great stuff that those
Jeremy's
guys
a buddy of mine.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's out in South Korea now. Really glad he likes the show. He's a wrestler, MMA fan.
Damn, dude.
So
We're going worldwide on this shit.
Going places. That means we now have a considerable listenership in South Korea. So let's just add that to the list of things.
Let's put our foothold in there quickly.
To steal a pun from current events, you're so topical.
Thank you.
This has been the longest podcast in history. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Download it on iTunes. Find us on Twitter, VerbalTapCast, or just go listen to us at verbaltap.buzzsprout.com. Thank you all so much. I'm Kevin Phillips. Thanks for listening.
Good night and good fight.
I'm gonna tell you this. I cannot thank y'all enough for having me. It's awesome that we'd be able to listen and be a fan of something, and then want you to be a part of it. You guys are awesome to me. So I really appreciate being on here.